What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at another Great League Remix team. I've been really enjoying the Great League Remix, so I just wanted to keep pushing out videos for it. And the team we're looking at today is Lokix, Shadow Whiscash, and Shadow Tentacruel. The idea behind the team, Lokix is a Sucker Punch user. Sucker Punch buffed the season. It's a clone of what Counter was last season, and it is super strong. I mean, it is, especially on an attack-weighted Pokemon, it does incredible damage. And you have the ability to boost that damage with Trailblaze, which is really good coverage in this meta, and then X-Scissor, which also has some decent unique coverage, and it's like spammy fast move to get to. So the reason we're even running Lokix in the first place is mainly because of Golurk. Golurk is absolutely everywhere, and it has the super effective Sucker Punches while also resisting the Mud Slap. So it's a really strong Pokemon in that regard. So let's take a look at some battles. Into the first match, we've got a Sableye. So this is a good lead because their Shadow Claws are actually resisted here, and our Sucker Punches are neutral. They realize that, and they get out into Celio. So this is a pretty unique pick for my opponent, but I will get off that super effective Trailblaze, or at least I try, and then I catch the Body Slam onto my Tentacruel. Tentacruel does have a good matchup here because Powder Snows are resisted, and our Poison Jabs are neutral, and because our Tentacruel is Shadow, it does a lot of damage. That said, we are able to get off the Scald right before they make their next move, and they come back in with the Sableye. They are forced to throw their energy because we would make another move. And they take us out with the foul play. We can just come back in with the Lokix. Looks like we will just barely outpace to the next move. This X-Scissor is neutral because it's resisted on Ghost and super effective on the foul plays. They come in with Mag Zone in the back. I'm just going to force them to throw here. Mirror Shot actually does take me out. But now we have super effective Mud Shots. I'm going to no shield just because I want to flex this. And they go for the Mirror Shot bait. And we get that 2 shield flex in the first match. Into the next match, we've got a Lanturn on the lead. So this is a good lead as well because we pace to the Trailblaze at the same rate that they pace to the Surf. I believe it's 7-6 for both. So it looks like my opponent's got a shield, so I'm more than comfortable with just matching shields here. What are they going to do? They're just going to stay in this matchup, play to the CMP tie again. That's fine with us. We can take them out, or they can invest 2 shields. So at this point, we are double boosted, so we may as well invest 2 shields as well. Are they going to... no, it looks like we would have gotten the full farm down there, but they did not throw, or at least they didn't get to a move. They come in with a Lokix of their own to our Tentacruel, which is fine. We will get a Scald off to take out this Lokix, and then what is that Pokemon in the back? It's Ariados, so they are going to be forced to throw here. They do not throw, so I'm going to get off this Acid Spray. And they're going to go for the, yeah, I was going to say, it's going to be really hard to Poison Sting down before I make another move. So I will come in probably with, I try to do a little bit of peekaboo play there. Come in with the Whiscash, hoping to catch a Trailblaze, but I actually just get the super effective X-Scissor off, and we take that game. Donphan on the lead. So this isn't exactly what we're targeting, but it kind of works out. It's a Mud Slap user, and this is only a Body Slam, but I probably should shield that there, just because the Mud Slaps, even though they're resisted, will eventually chip. And I can just boost my attack and kind of get into the same spot. I would not be surprised if I shield here because it looks like if that Sucker Punch goes through, I will take Switch, so I may as well. And then they have a Golurk in the back, so really wishing I had shielded that first move. Mud Slap does take me out. Fortunately, I do have a Whiscash, and they're going to be Energy Dry at this, or not Energy Dry, but they have no shields at this point. And I believe they didn't even farm up to a Dynamic Punch, so I can just let that go. And then they have a Ninetales in the back, so that is an instant win. Even if they have Psyshock, I believe I can live 1 because it's the non-shadow. Just Weather Ball, though. I'm going to let this one go as well, and I'm going to farm all the way down, come out with a Scald loaded for this Golurk, My opponent knows that, so they resign the match. Nidoqueen in the next match. So this is a pretty neutral matchup. We're both hitting neutral with our fast moves, and then both of our charge moves are neutral, unless I go for an X-Scissor. I was hoping that my opponent just did not know Lokix counts, and that's why I went for the X-Scissor there. And because they let that go and I showed the Poison Fang, I thought I could probably just farm down. But they make the smart decision to swap out of that matchup, and then they come in with Licky. I come in with Whiscash just because rollouts are resisted. We also get the attack fall, which is huge. So I'm just going to let this go. Even if it's a Shadow Ball, I can survive this. Just a Body Slam. I will take out this Licky. Just want to get this out. They do still have 2 shields, and then they come in with Arctibax. So I come in with Lokix because I'm trying to draw out their lead Pokemon. But they do not fall for it. Fortunately, at this point, I can just come in with the Tentacruel. So I click on the Tentacruel, and the Whiscash comes in. Okay, thank you, game. Now I have to shield this up because my Whiscash is what I need for the Pokemon in the lead, I think. I don't even remember what the Pokemon in the lead is at this point, but now I come in with Tentacruel. I can survive a Dragon Claw pretty comfortably here. Tentacruel's got some decent bulk. And then they come in with, right, that's why we needed it. It was the Whiscash would have been great. We had the alignment. Fortunately, my opponent didn't have any shields, so we are able to still take this win. Dragon Claw will take me out, but they're not at back-to-back moves here. So we can very comfortably still take this win. Well, not very comfortably, but game tried to make that hard, but we were able to win. Okay, Medicham into the next match. I believe I misplayed this because I go straight X-Scissor. And to do any meaningful damage, I believe it takes 7 counters to even get to an Ice Punch at this point in the game. Now the counter has been nerfed, so I should have gone up to the Trailblaze because these Sucker Punches definitely would have added up more. And now I'm going to have to invest 2 shields if they decide to shield that. Fortunately, my opponent doesn't decide to shield that. And they also let me get to a Trailblaze, which is nice because now I'm just going to stay in. And at this point, I come in Tentacruel, and that's just because I was hoping I could just wall their full moveset. Then they come in with Greedent, and I instant swap, so now I have to pray they're not on Trailblaze or that they bait a bunch. Fortunately for me, the first is just a Body Slam. They still might be running Trailblaze, but at least the first was a bait, and they do shield, so that probably means this is a Trailblaze coming. At this point, I can just let this go and sweep the Tentacruel. But it's just another Body Slam, which means we can actually make it to another Scald here, which is huge, because this will do a lot of chip. And it does, and that was a CMP tie. It looks like we won the CMP tie, so that's huge. Body Slam, not going to take us out. Predict the swap, catch whatever this is, because everything is resisted. Just an Aqua Tail from my opponent. And we will get off this Skull to take out the Quillfish, and then it's just that low HP Greedent in the back, and they don't even throw a move because they know this is lost. Dubwool on the lead into the next match. So we've seen Dubwool featured here on this channel, actually. They are staying in. I'm not sure why I didn't throw after 5 there. I guess I wasn't expecting them to not throw, maybe. They do just go Body Slam. That was pretty risky because they could have Wild Charged me, but fortunately I called that they didn't. It looks like I can get the 1 shield farm down here. So that's huge because I will also come out with energy. And they come in with Carbink, and so it's huge that I actually win switch here because I do want to align my Whiscash onto this. And we are able to with good chip. And then they come in with Drifblim, which is a little unfortunate for us because we do not have a great answer to Drifblim. Both Tentacruel and Whiscash have resisted fast moves on it. But we actually get off the Scald. It looks like we do get the debuff, and then they just go straight Icy Wind. And then this one, I think I probably will shield because they're at a Shadow Ball. Yep. I correctly shield that up, and now we're going to get off another Scald. And they shield that again. So at this point, I have to outpace, but it looks like I will before they can make another Shadow Ball. Icy Wind would not have taken me out from that range. So now that's enough chip. And then they come in with the Carbink. I've got Whiscash loaded onto this. I go for the move right away because I did not want to get them to get a Moonblast off, but this does put me in Astonish range, or at least they have to throw but we actually get to the Mud Bomb. Even though it's double resisted from this range, it will take out the Drifblim, and we take that game. Into the next match, we've got another Medi on the lead. Don't remember running into too many. Oh, this one is on Psycho Cut. So this matchup is actually a little bit better for us, but also worse because they pasted the Dynamic Punch a little bit quicker, but we catch the Dynamic Punch onto our Tentacruel, and then they come in with Lanturn, but this Lanturn is on Water Gun. So instead of super effective fast move damage, they're doing resisted fast move damage. And then we get the attack drop. And so if they don't full send a Thunderbolt, we would survive it, but they do. And that's fine because now we can just get some extra farm on the Lokix. And because we got that move, that means that the Medi is energy dry. So if they decide to come back in with the Medi, which they don't, then we would have been in a good spot there. But unfortunately, they align it on their Bastiodon. And now we've got a Whiscash on their Medi. So how are we going to get out of this matchup is the question. We get the Scald off. They do get that shield call correct. At this point, we're going to start shielding. They're probably just going to continue to bait with Ice Punches, but we have to use our shield somewhere, and we know our Whiscash is our win con. So at this point, we're looking for a snipe, and unfortunately, my opponent makes a nice catch of the Trailblaze. We did go for the safe play of the Trailblaze in case they did catch, so that's good that we get that. But what that does mean is we drew the Bastiodon back out, and we do not need to shield anything from the Bastiodon. And we have put this in Mudshot farm down range. So all we need to do is get the full farm down. As long as they don't make it to 2 moves, we win this game because the switch timer is not just yet up for my opponent. And we get the full farm down. We still have a shield, and my opponent knows there's no winning that matchup, and they resign the match. Okay, Clefable, this is a bad lead, so we're going to get out into our Whiscash, and my opponent is staying in this matchup. They do farm up the Moonblast, so I will respect it. They bait with Swift, so that is unfortunate, but at this point, they come in with Sableye. So, one Galarian Wheezing, and my opponent is screwed. That being said, they do shield the Scald, and they let us get to another Mud Bomb, so I will chip with the Mud Bomb. I believe I will still survive a foul play from this range, so they are forced to full send their return. My opponent does do that, and then we get the full farm down. Unfortunately, and that's why you don't queue up the switch right there, because they actually come in with Marowak, which is actually a decent matchup for us, because we're both hitting for super effective fast move damage. Fortunately for me, my opponent realigns their Clefable against my Tentacruel, which is huge. And we can get off the Acid Spray, and we can go for the full farm down. I probably will shield this because it's going to be hard to Sucker Punch farm down a Fairy type, and we will come out with a Scald to threaten. I'm baiting here. This is a risky bait, but I guess I do need that Sucker Punch damage more than anything. So I do switch. I'm doing huge damage to the Sucker Punches. Now I'm boosting my damage. So yeah, my opponent just did not have a chance there. So we take that win. Drifblim into the next match. So this is another Pokemon that we were kind of targeting. Lokix obviously does super well here because Astonish is resisted, and Sucker Punch super effective. They come in with Machamp, which is not a good matchup for them. I was not expecting them to just go for the Cross Chop. I was expecting them to go for the either Rock Slide or Stone Edge, so that's why I stayed in that matchup. But at this point, we can just come in with our Tentacruel. We know our Tentacruel doesn't have play into that Drifblim, so we're going to use it to take out the rest of the Machamp. And then I just go straight Acid Spray here. I'm not really sure why I'm doing that. Fortunately, my opponent doesn't know Tentacruel counts, and they shield that up, and they're also forced to throw a move here, so that's huge. Because if we come back in with Lokix, we're going to do a lot of damage. We're coming a little bit too soon, but they have Galarian Wheezing in the back, and we have great coverage here with the Mud Shot, Mud Bomb combo. And they full send a player off, so at this point I can just farm up to back-to-back Mud Bombs. And if they shield this, I can take it out with the second one. And this should take out my opponent, and then I just have to make it to a Scald, which means my opponent will be forced to throw energy, which means we can get the full Sucker Punch farm down if they full send a Shadow Ball, but they still don't. And we are able to get that full Sucker Punch farm down and take that win. So into the last match of the video, we've got Octillery on the lead, and it looks like I'm lagging like hell at the beginning, Fortunately, it looks like we catch up there. This should just be an Octazooka. Won't do a ton of damage. We don't get the debuff. It looks like we took that Incinerate because we were caught in the Sucker Punch animation. But we have a great matchup here. Everything is resisted. They bait with a Thunder Punch, which is odd. That does force me to kind of throw my energy because now at this point I am in Blast Burn range. But then they come back in with the Octillery. I'm just going to farm up a little bit more, go for the Mud Bomb. We do grab a shield, so now we're at a shield advantage, and great counting by my opponent. They throw right before I get to the next Mud Bomb. They go for an Octazooka that does not take me out. And we get the Mud Bomb off, and then I come in Tentacruel. What is that Pokemon in the back? It is an Ursaring, so now we've got 2 shield advantage. I may as well just go straight Acid Spray here. There is no point to do anything else. And I believe I no-shield this because I want to go for the 2 shield flex, and I know I could Sucker Punch farm them down, and they go for a Swift, so I just may as well farm them down, and we take that win. So yeah, that was the team. Lokix was on. This is the first time I've run Lokix in the Great League, and it was honestly so much fun. I don't have the most optimal Lokix either. I think it's like 1479. Not great CP. IVs are okay, but yeah, I mean, in general, this team was pretty glassy, which means the wins were super fast because the damage output of these Pokemon were really strong. But yeah, Lokix, honestly, it carried for me in these matchups. I don't think we saw it aligned on a Golurk in this video or for too long anyways, but in general, really strong Pokemon, especially in this meta. Obviously, it's got a lot of weaknesses with that bug typing, and the Dark isn't really helping it. Obviously, you are weak to Rock, you're weak to Flying, you're weak to Fairy, you're weak to Fire. You've got a lot of weaknesses, and that's kind of why we had Tentacruel in the back. Good against the Fairies, good against the Fires. Can hit super effective with the Scald on the Rock. So that's kind of where the team kind of came from. But yeah, hope you guys all enjoyed the video. I'll have another exciting video coming probably tomorrow, maybe the next day. Look forward to that. It's going to be a really cool and unique video. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Peace.